Hello, everybody. Welcome to the BookTrib live chat. Tonight, we are very honored to have internationally best-selling author PC Cass talking about her latest book, Redeemed, which is the final novel in the House of Night series, the wildly popular series that so many people around the world are crazy about. It's really an international phenomenon. It's been #1 on the US, German, and UK bestseller list, 20 million books in print. It's quite impressive. The books are sold in 40 countries around the world, and the movie rights have been optioned by Davis Films, the same people who brought the Resident Evil franchise to us. And PC is an award-winning writer. She won the Prism Holds Medallion, Booksellers Best and Beacon Awards. She's a member of the Oklahoma Writers Hall of Fame, and she writes the House of Night series with her daughter, Kristen. And today, very excited about this, we're giving away some of our goddess gift bags, which are right here. They're filled with some of the best goodies from awesome sponsors, such as Sinful Colors, Jamberry, Chrisley, Baby Blue Designs, Four Strange Women, and 21 Drops. So after the chat, head on over to booktrib.com to enter to win. And as always, please remember to sign up at booktrib.com to get the latest on live chats, giveaways, original content, and more. And if you're interested, for those of you who aren't as familiar with House of Night and finding out more, you can go to houseofnightseries.com for updates on the tour. And so, PC, for those of us who aren't as familiar with House of Night, could you tell us a little bit about the series?
Well, and thank you for that lovely introduction. And hi, everyone who I can't see or hear. And that's kind of weird. Okay, it's weird, but I appreciate all you guys, and thank you for logging in. I guess logging in. For those of you who are not familiar with the House of Night, it is a vampire series, but it is much more than that. It's like saying that the Lord of the Rings is a Hobbit series. It's so much
Yeah.
more than that. It's first, it's the only matriarchal vampire society that I know of in print. And it's really a coming of age story about Zoey Redbird, our heroine, and the nerd herd and her whole group of friends. And it is basically a great struggle against light and darkness and that balance. And it also it's real. It's real teenagers, how they react in a paranormal world, but they also have crazy boy stuff going on and teenage problems and that type of thing. So
It's great. Well, let's get into some of these viewer questions. People want to know everything about you guys. So Jane wants to know, she says, what do you attribute your mother-daughter writing team success to? And for those of you who aren't familiar, could you kind of tell us a little bit about how you and Kristen put the series together?
yes, and Kristen would be here over my shoulder, talking to you guys too, except that she's having some kind of weird allergic reaction. She's in her room taking Benadryl, and you don't want to talk to her after she takes Benadryl. um, I started writing The House of Night in 2005 about, and I was teaching high school English and creative writing, and I didn't think I'd have any problem with a teenage voice because I've been teaching for about a decade. And but when I started writing, my 70s teenagers started talking, and that's not good. Okay, that is not good if you're writing about non-70s teenagers. So I'm back in my room writing, and it was her first semester of college. She was 19, and so she was out in the other part of our condo, probably watching TV, MTV back then, probably. And I would yell at her, and I call her Chicken because her initials are KFC. I'd be Chicken Francis. I would ask her, is this the right word for this? And she'd say, "Oh, Phyllis." And she calls me Phyllis. That's what P stands for, the PC. And she'd correct my word. And after a few times of doing that, I asked her if she would like to co-author the series with Mama. And she said, "Will my name be on the front of the books?" And I went, "Yeah." And she said, "Will it be Kristen Cast and PC Cast?" I said, "No, it won't actually. It's going to be PC Cast plus Kristen Cast." And she said, "Will I be famous?" And I didn't even think about it. I just said, sure you will. Yeah. And so she said, okay. So that's how it started. And after several attempts that were not successful in team writing, um, we figured it out. And I do all of the writing. I do the
Mhm.
complete first draft of every manuscript. And Kristen knows very little about what's going on in that manuscript because what she became over the years is an awesome editor and also a great writer, but she's an awesome editor. So then I turn in the manuscript to her, and then she goes through it. She's my frontline editor. So that's how that happens, and we love working together. We're real close. Kristen and I, it's just been us forever. So we're very, very close.
Oh, excellent. And I just want to remind everybody that Kristen will be doing a separate live chat on October 29th, so you can ask her all of your burning questions about what it's like to write with her mom. Now, let's see here. Brendan says, I love your pop culture references in the books. Did you do this to make the story more relatable to the teens reading your work?
Yes, but I also did it because um, I, well, because I've taught for all those years, and I know what teens are talking about because I was talking about it with them. And so the stuff I'm talking about, that's what we were doing. We were talking like that in my classroom, right? Like before and after school and lunch and all that kind of stuff. So I knew it's the vernacular. It was what's going on. And then Kristen and I talk about that stuff too. And it a lot of the pop culture is like just my inputs except
Mhm.
for like certain names of things, which I leave blank in the manuscript. And then I put help mama in big in a big like bold letters next to them so Kristen doesn't miss them. So if you ever see help mama in a manuscript or I mean a book, someone really screwed up and they missed that. Kristen missed it, I missed it, copy editor missed it, we all missed it.
That's great. Now, Helen says your books have reached beyond the teen audience, and what do you think about that? And did you expect these books to be so addictive to everybody?
I I hope they would be addictive, but what I
Right.
did with this series is what I do with all of my books. I write the book I most want to read. Helen, I don't even think about the teen genre as I write, um, because I don't like the genre labels. I
Mhm.
just write the story, and it was Kristen's job to then go through and make sure that I wasn't being too explicit, um, you know, or doing something, crazy. Um,
Mhm.
but I I really, I just write what's going on in my head and I don't think about anything else. So, I don't know, is that crazy? That might be crazy.
No, it's not crazy at all. I mean, clearly the product is amazing, and everyone can't wait to get their hands on every part of it. Now,
And
redeemed.
I'm 50, oh, I'm sorry. I'm
No, it's fine.
54, Helen. I'm 54 and I love the books and I've read a lot of YA and I love YA too. So I don't think it has
Yeah,
anything to do with age. I think it's just a good story is a good story.
I agree. Now, so Redeemed is the final book in the series. It's the 12th novel. And I can't believe it. How does it feel to finally have, you put out the final book? What's that like for you? Is it sad? Are you excited?
Well, uh-oh.
You're good.
Uh-oh. Oh, sorry, I lost you for a second.
Oh,
Sorry.
no
Whew,
problem.
that was scary. My computer just went black for a second. I'm sorry.
No
Um,
problem.
it actually it's been very, very emotional. It was more emotional than Chris and I expected it to be because when you're in the middle of writing and the writing process, it's really running a marathon. And
Mhm.
you're looking forward to getting done with the marathon. And so we were really working towards this end. We
Mhm.
weren't really thinking about that it was the end. It was just I was working towards the end of the story arc. And then we got there, and of course, I cry in my own book. I'm like,
Mm,
what was that? Oh, Romancing the Stone. I'm like, the Jane Wilder? Is that who
yeah.
she played? Yeah, I'm writing like this, and I'm like, when Jack died, oh God, when Jack died, I was a snot bawling idiot. Okay, it was so awful. So I cried several times in Redeemed, but see, that's normal for me. It's normal.
Mhm.
So I put the book down, and and of course sent it to Kristen. And Kristen said that there's a certain part in the book, and I'm not going to give a spoiler. I'm just going to say it has to do with Kelowna. From that point on, she bawled through the whole last half of the book.
Oh.
And then we both were like, okay, so okay, that's fine, because we both always cry in some place in the books. Then I had to write an essay for Barnes and Noble about what it's like to come to the end of the series. And I wrote it, and then I wanted to read it aloud to my significant other to make sure that I didn't have any typos and,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. I started reading it, and the end of the first paragraph, I took a breath and started the second paragraph and burst into tears. And I bawled my way through reading the rest of this essay to him. And I mean, like I had to wipe my eyes and snot and the whole deal. And then I looked at him when I was done, and he was sitting over there crying too, because he's a
Oh my
huge Half
God.
fan too. But
Hmm.
he was bawling, and then I sent it to Kristen, and she's like, I didn't hear back from her, didn't hear back from her, and then finally she said, Phyllis, I just had no words. I can't. You made me cry so hard. So it's been really emotional, and we weren't really prepared for it. And now our fans, you guys who are coming to see us at during the tour, you guys are really emotional too, and we're hearing how I've been reading these since eighth grade, and my mom and I together, and now I'm in college, and it's like a whole end of our era and our childhood, and we've just been not crying a lot. So it's been really
Oh,
emotional, but it's
yeah.
very, very satisfying. It's very
Oh,
satisfying.
that's wonderful. Oh, that's good. And so Heather says that since you've been writing House of Night for so long, these characters for so long, do they feel like family to you?
They do kind of, yeah, it's true. House of Night does, and that was really reiterated to me as I began work on my new series. I have a new trilogy that I've already started working on, and it is awesome sauce. Okay, it's good. I really like it, but it's different, of course, than the House of Night, and it showed me as I started writing it. I realized how easily I have fallen into the House of Night world since 2005. I know the characters, I know the world. I'm not gonna say it's easy to write because writing is not easy, but it's so
Mhm.
comfortable and familiar. And I'm gonna miss them. I mean, I already miss them. I I just think that they're just going on about their business and they're still here.
Well, where do you see Zoe in 20 years? What do you think she's doing?
Oh, I give the preview at the end, so
Hmm.
her job, what she's going to be
Right.
doing. But I see her as a kick-ass high priestess, and I also see her as really kind of revamping, revamping human vampire relationships a lot.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's great. Is she the character you feel closest to?
Aphrodite is the character I feel closest to.
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite is easiest to write for me. Aphrodite is I love writing from Aphrodite's point of view. I am very close to Zoe though, and I
Hmm.
really love Zoe's character arc too.
Hmm. Now, Shannon wants to know, this is a little different direction. Do you have a favorite fictional vampire from TV?
Oh
There are a
yeah,
lot to choose
Spike.
from.
Spike has been my boyfriend for so many years, and I'm so glad Kristen's not here because then she would say no, he's my boyfriend, and I'd say no, he's my boyfriend. Totally Spike. Yes.
I was an Angel girl myself, but
Mm.
I have the appreciation for Spike. I mean, he's quite amazing. So
Season 6 of Buffy. Just saying. I'm just
it's quite
favorite
incredible.
episode of oh man, favorite episode of all time is the musical. If I
Oh,
get a
that's so
cold, I
great.
don't feel well, I just put on once more with what's it? Once
Once
more
more with
with
feeling.
feeling. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
put that on. God, gosh, I'm a dork. I'm such a geek. But that's what I did. I'd sing
No,
along with all of
it's objectively awesome.
it. Thank you.
It, Taryn says you have some great heroines in your novels. Is it safe to say your books are female driven? I think they are. And what made you take that on? What is it about the matriarchal storyline and mythology that you love so much?
Uh yeah, yes, they're a lot of them are female driven. Although I do have a novella with Harleq or HQN that I did half of it with Gina Showalter. She wrote half, and I
Mm,
wrote the other story. And I wrote the entire thing from the hero's point of view.
Mhm.
So that's but they it my mine usually are matriarchal and heroine driven. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I joined the Air Force when I was 17,
Mhm.
and that was 1977. So I was in a man's world. I was raised by a man, but I was also raised by a man who loves women, and I mean more
Mhm.
than just like how they're boobs, you know. Um, dad dad respects and admires women and has always traditionally been had more female friends than male friends, even though he's a coach
Mhm.
and big football player and everything. I also really dislike um, when we as women um, don't support each other. I don't like it.
Mhm.
And so I didn't want that to happen in any of my books, especially in my young adult books. I've been asked by people in my publishing house, and
Mhm.
not a lot of people, but just once in a while, someone has said to me, "Why don't you make them fight? Make the girls fight each other." And I said that won't
Mhm.
ever happen. You're not gonna because
Mhm.
it's first of all, my characters wouldn't do that, and secondly, I don't believe in it. I think it's crap. Women need to support each other. Guys, we live longer than men. Okay, make girlfriends. Respect and love your men, but make girlfriends.
Mhm. Definitely. Um, Now, what inspired you? This is from Jennifer L. She says, "What inspired you to bring the House of Night story to the comic world? You partnered up with Dark Horse to put out, was it? It was five, right? Five
Five
comics.
comics and
How
one
did that
graphic
come?
novel.
How did that come to be? Were you a fan of comics when you were younger? Um, yeah, tell
Oh,
us.
I'm a fan of comics now. I love me some comics. And it came to
Hmm.
be because I approached Dark Horse. I called them.
Oh,
I mean, seriously, I sat down and called. I called and just said, hi, I'm PC Cast. Would you guys be interested in doing some comics? And they were like, it was so funny, okay? Because they were like, what? You're who? And they said yes, they would. And then guess who my main editor was?
who?
The main Joss Whedon's editor
No
for Dark
way.
Horse and Buffy. Yes, that is right. Scott Alley. That's right. So I
Oh,
feel like I'm Joss Whedon's friend because we have the same editor.
you're basically related at this point.
That's what I think too. And I asked Scott, how is my friend Joss? You know?
Does he answer?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. He'll say, "Oh man, the Avengers is really hard for him to." Yeah, oh yeah, I feel like I'm his friend. So, but I love comics. When all the other girls in my like the late '60s, early '70s, when they picked up comics, they were picking up like Archie and Veronica, and
Hmm.
I was raised around a bunch of boys. And I was doing Superman and Swamp Thing and Batman and Thor and the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. And I was doing
Hmm.
all that. So it was a very cool experience for me. I got to like totally dork out for myself.
That's great. So here's another one from Jennifer L. She says, what kind of research goes into your writing? You're clearly a fan of mythology. Where do you pull from?
I do lots of research. Well, I was a literature major with like a biology minor in college, which is crazy.
Hmm.
But I've always always loved fantasy since my dad gave me Lord of the Rings when I was 9. I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time when I was 9, and
Hmm.
Anne McCaffrey's Dragon books were my favorite fantasy when I was like 13, 12 or 13. I think I grabbed the first one. Um,
Hmm.
but I do lots and lots of research, and as I research, I rewrite the myths in my head.
Oh.
So I come up with stories from my research because if I don't like the way history's going or the myth's going or the legend's going, I just figure, well, I'll just change it. So I love research. I really love research, and I also love going to the places that I research.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
just like feeling things and smelling things and feeling the energy of the place really makes a huge difference. And so I will
Hmm.
admit writing places into the House of Night that I wanted to go. I
Hmm.
just saying, okay? I had to rough it. I went to Capri, I went to Pompeii, I went to San Clemente Island. It was
Tough.
difficult, tough. I
So
went to
tough.
France. I had to go to New Orleans. I had to go back to Chicago and research that, and then St. Louis too. It was such
Such
work,
a
work,
trek.
work, work, work. I know, right?
Now, who inspired you to become an author? This is from Margot.
Wow, Margot, I have been writing before I can't remember not writing. I wrote my first book
Hmm.
in first grade. Lovey the Blue Whale. It hasn't been about a flying
Oh,
mammal. Um, I know. um, I I have always written and I've always read. I also can't remember not reading. I can't remember learning how to read either. Um, I wrote a book in eighth grade called Nurse Janice. I wanted it to be a Harlequin book. It didn't get published either. Um, uh, uh, but I've always thought I was going to be I've always thought I was going to be a teacher and an author,
hmm.
and I was. I mean,
You did it.
and the Air Force was in there too somewhere. But
Hmm. Um, Now Taryn has another question. She says, "Will you be continuing the Goddess Summoning series?"
oh, Taryn, I love those books so much. I wish I could talk to you so I'd ask you which one's your favorite because I go back and forth on Goddess of Spring and Goddess of the Rose, but then Goddess of Love makes me laugh really hard. So,
Hmm.
but I have two or three more of those in my head, and I would
Hmm.
really like to write another one of those. I love them. I love them. I
Hmm.
just have to find time to do it, and that will depend on how long it takes for me to write this trilogy I'm working on.
Oh, okay. So she also wants to know what your favorite fairy tale is.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, a good one.
That's why I wrote Goddess of the Rose because it was my
Right.
retelling.
Now, see, I have another one from Taryn. She's on fire. She says, "Will you and Kristen be co-authoring any other series anytime in the future?"
Karen, thank you for that wonderful question, and I can answer that one very easily. I'm writing a trilogy right now. Kristen will tell you about. She is just completing well, our agent's just completing a 5 book contract for her new series.
Amazing.
And I can't tell you about it, and she can't say very much yet. She might be able to when she talks on the 29th, though. Um, and then in the middle of her writing her manuscript and turning it in to our agent, and me writing my new one and turning it in, she looked at me the other day and she said, "Phyllis, I think I have an idea for a book we could do together." And I looked at her, getting
Oh.
ready to say, "Kristen, I don't have time to write an entire book right now with all this other stuff that I'm doing." And then she came up with this awesome, awesome idea. I love the idea she had for the series, but also she said, "What if we do a series of novellas so we could fit them between our series and she writes
Hmm.
the heroine's point of view and I write the hero's point of view. So we go back and forth each chapter and tell the story. I write it, she writes it, I write it, she writes it." And I was like, and you know what? We haven't even told our publisher that yet. We haven't even mentioned that yet.
You heard
So
it
like
here first.
yeah, you guys got the scoop on that. They don't even know. If they're watching, they're going, "What?"
Exclusive here on BookTrib live chat. Um, Now, K McCandle, excuse me, asks whether this will be sold. The House of Night series will be sold as a box set anytime soon.
I asked our publisher that, our fabulous publisher, St. Martin's Press, and I think that they are actually. I think they're going to do that. I can't tell you when. I don't know that part, but I think that they are. I know they've already boxed the novellas into an audio set. I know that you can, or an e-set or something. I don't know. You guys have to look, but I know they've already started doing something with the novellas. But I think that they're going to.
Mm, excellent. Now, do you? Okay, so Chelsea says here, how do you come up with all the names for your characters? Are some of them personal friends? Sub question: do you base some of these characters on people you know, or you who you've known in your life?
Um, okay, don't let me forget both of them. Okay. Yeah,
I won't.
how I come up with names for characters. Sometimes it is indeed people's names, that I know, or like I wrote down a name of a fan at the signing the other night, and Kristen's
Oh,
sitting next to me, so I had to call dibs real fast because we have this dibs thing. Because if not, we're gonna fight, and I'm not sure if I can beat her now. So, but sometimes you get it. I just hear a name and I like them. Sometimes I do base them. Sometimes very the very loose basis of a character. Like Zoe's based on Kristen when Kristen was
oh,
16.
okay.
Kristen didn't have the boy problems though. Okay, because she went to a high school where I taught and where her grandpa taught. Dad and I taught together at the same school, so she had zero boy, which was fine with me. Okay, she's making up for it now though. Oh, I mean, she has a really good boy. Don't kill me. Okay? She has a really, really wonderful boyfriend, Andrew. I'm sorry. But like when the characters, look, I even blushed for Kristen. When the characters are created, sometimes I'll use a name or the foundation, maybe someone the way someone I know looks for a character or something. But then as soon as the characters start doing things, they change and turn into themselves.
Okay.
Like Dragon Langford was based on Brian Langford, and Anastasia was his wife, and they won a raffle when I was writing the books. I did a Cherokee raffle. I did a
Hmm.
charity raffle for uh,
Okay.
someone whoever wins gets to have their name in my new series because I hadn't written it yet. I was just beginning
Hmm.
it, and Brian won. And so I said, how about I write you and your wife in? Use both of your names, and so I did. And actually, Brian Langford and Dragon Langford have physically a lot in common. They look a lot alike, and Brian has come to a couple of my signings with dragon tattoos on his face. Yeah, it was really cool. Did I answer both of those?
Excellent. Let's see here. A lot of comic questions. People love your comics, your House of Night comics. Paula says, what advice do you give to someone who wants to break in to this genre?
The the okay, on my blog and on Kristen's blog, we have an entire blog post about advice for aspiring authors. Kristen added her own advice on her blog as well, and then you can find it in the archives of my blog. Just click and click from the first page. But the basic advice that I want to give you is that you need to treat the job of being an author as you would any other career. Educate yourself
Mhm.
about the publishing business. Educate yourself um, about what physically happens to a book, and know the business. Take off the rose-colored glasses. It is a
Right.
job like any other job, and you have to have a bunch of tools in your toolbox to be able to do it and do it well. So don't think that the muse is going to whisper in your ear or
Hmm.
come to you, and then you'll just will flow on the page. That's not what happens, or not to me, and not to every one of my friends who are authors. It's
Hmm.
hard work, but the way to make it more attainable is to know the business. And I give advice about that on I give books that will help you with that on my blog too. I mentioned the book.
Excellent. Great. Now, you're on tour right now.
Yes.
Your fabulous book tour, meeting all your fans all across the country.
Hmm.
What do you do to stay sane? Because it can be kind of grueling traveling at, at all hours of the night, doing events, doing media. What do you do to stay zen?
So these are Clorox wipes. Okay. We take these, and this is my hotel room. Okay. We take these
Yeah.
everywhere with us. Um, it is much not. The thing about the tour is that it's exhausting because of those hours.
Hmm.
But we love our events. To stay sane, I am a vegan. I'm mostly raw vegan, and
Hmm.
my diet, although it's a lifestyle, not a diet, it really helps me stay healthy. So that helps me, and also I really enjoy traveling with my daughter. So
Mm.
being with Kristen keeps each of us in. Like right now, she's not feeling well, and so I'm here, and I'm here for her, and I'm doing this, and then on the 29th, if she still doesn't feel well, she'll be talking to me again. But we help each other while we're on tour. So really, Kristen is kind of how I stay sane, and also I'm super healthy.
Yeah, well, that sounds great.
Wine too.
Wine will do it. Massages.
Massages.
Um, well, everyone who's watching, if anyone's in Denver or in the general Denver area, head over to the Tattered Cover Highlands Ranch tonight. It is at 7 p.m. Mountain
Yes.
Time, I believe.
Mhm.
7 p.m. Mountain Time. Go over, say hi, get your book signed. And I want to thank you, PC, so much for coming to talk to us today. It's been a real treat. You're absolutely fabulous. Your series is fabulous. And we really had a great time today.
Thank you. I had a great time too. And thank you to everyone who asked questions and who was just here listening. I appreciate you guys, and I love my House of Night fans. Thank you so much. And my Goddess Summoning fans and my Parthenon fans too. Okay?
All the fans.
All the fans. Thank you so much, guys.
Now,
I appreciate you.
after this chat, remember to head over to booktrib.com. You can enter to win your Goddess gift bag. And you can find PC online. Go to houseofnightseries.com. Kristen, you can tweet at her at KC Author on Twitter. KC
Yes,
Cast
I do.
Author on Twitter.
And also our
Sorry about
Facebook.
that.
Also our Facebook.
Facebook. House.
It's actually us. We really do it. Kristen made me get on the Facebook. Okay.
The
So I do
Facebook.
the Facebook myself, which is why my pictures are sometimes crappy because I don't do the Facebook very well. So.
Well, be sure to go and say hi. And thank you so much. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys.